Many years ago, in a beautiful village at the shores of the sea, lived a girl called Mmesoma. Mmesoma lived in a very beautiful village and it was surrounded by the sea, and people loved to visit because of the beautiful scenery, especially at sunset. Mmesoma had a very good friend called Uloma, and they have been friends for many years. Mmesoma and her friend Uloma loved to swim at the seashore most hot afternoons. They were best of friends and many envied their friendship. One day, whilst Mmesoma and Uloma were on their way back from swimming, they saw a very handsome man. He was so fine that everyone who passed by him had to turn back to admire his handsome looks. Mmesoma and Uloma could not believe their eyes when they saw this handsome stranger. "How can a man be so handsome?" said Mmesoma as she and Uloma walked past him with a smile on their face. The handsome stranger looked back and smiled at them, and they could not help but giggle in excitement. The next day, Mmesoma went to Maazi Chukwudi's house to buy some firewood for her mother when she bumped into the handsome stranger again. She could not help but ask what his name was and where he came from, as she was too curious to know things about him. He smiled and said, "My name is Ahanna, and I am from a faraway village." Mmesoma was so happy that she finally got to speak to the handsome stranger and could not wait to tell her friend Uloma. Many months passed, and the handsome stranger, Ahanna, was nowhere to be found in the village. Mmesoma had hoped to bump into him several times, but she never saw him after that day. One hot afternoon, Mmesoma was cooking at the back of her house when she heard a knock on her door. "Uloma, I am coming," she said as she rushed to open the door. To her greatest surprise, it was Ahanna, the handsome stranger. He looked happy to see Mmesoma, and she was in total shock. "What are you doing here? How did you find my home?" Mmesoma stuttered as she could not believe her eyes. Ahanna began to explain himself, and he said, "Few days after we met at Maazi Chukwudi's house, I left for my village and I have been away all this time. I just returned today and had to see you immediately because I have not been able to get you out of my mind since that day." Mmesoma shone her eyes in amazement as butterflies began to fill her stomach. She tried to speak, but she was tripping on her words. There was complete silence for a minute until Uloma barged in and broke the silence. Everyone looked confused, including Uloma, who could not understand what Ahanna was doing in Mmesoma's house. Immediately, Ahanna bid them farewell and left the house. "Come and give me gist," said Uloma, as she could not wait for her friend to tell her all Ahanna had said. The next morning, Mmesoma woke up from sleep and was about going outside her house when she stumbled upon a package at her doorstep. It was from Ahanna, and she opened it. She saw a note as well as a very beautiful dress and a scarf. She smiled as she read the note, which said, "Meet me by the seaside this evening by 7. I would love it if you wear this beautiful dress and also cover your face with the scarf. I can't wait to see you." Mmesoma jumped in excitement and immediately ran to her friend Uloma's house to tell her what had just happened. Evening came, and Ahanna was already waiting by the seaside when he saw Mmesoma approaching with the very beautiful dress he got her. Her face was also covered with a scarf, and he was so excited. Immediately she approached him. He hugged her, and they both fell into the water. Ahanna turned into her fish, but he was no longer as handsome as he was when he was in human form. Ahanna was a merman that could only be human on land. He turned back to look at Mmesoma and saw Uloma staring back at him instead. At this point, Uloma had already turned into a mermaid as the marriage ceremony was complete between them. Ahanna was a merman who came to the land in search of a bride. He met and fell in love with Mmesoma and decided to secretly conduct the joining ceremony with her. The dress and the scarf Ahanna sent to Mmesoma's house were a necessary part of the marriage ceremony, as Ahanna was not meant to see the face of his wife-to-be before they both got into the water. Earlier that day, Uloma escorted Mmesoma back home to see the beautiful dress Ahanna left at her doorstep. This made Uloma so jealous that she decided to have Ahanna to herself instead. Uloma mixed some concoction, which she put into Mmesoma's food to make her sleep all evening, while she pretended to be Mmesoma. Her plan was to make Ahanna fall in love with her instead, as she could not sit back and watch Mmesoma live with Ahanna. However, this plan backfired as Uloma turned into a mermaid and could no longer go back to land, as mermaids could not turn back to human like their male counterparts. That was how Uloma regretted her actions as she lived all her life in the sea. The lesson to be learned from this story is that all that glitters is not gold. Do not be jealous of others and do not take what does not belong to you, because you might just end up inheriting someone else's trouble. Hope you enjoyed this story. Please like, subscribe and leave a comment. It helps us grow our channel. I'll see you in our next story. Bye.